Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. As part of the esteemed family, I, HNYC, a student from the second year of the BGM program, would like to welcome all of you to the International Symposium 2014. This year, the theme for the symposium is Global Business Promises and Perils, and the event promises to be an entirely experience to everyone present here. To start the event, I'd like to request Dr. Julian Gaspar, Executive Director, Center for International Business Studies, and Clinical Professor of Finance, Mace Business School, Texas A&M University, Mr. Arun Nayar, Director for Human Resources in Safran Engineering Services Bangalore, and our very own Director, Dr. N.R. Parashuram, to kindly take their seats on the dais. I request Mr. Sachin Paran to lead us. Let's begin this evening with the blessings of the Almighty. I'd like to call upon Ms. Kavita for the invocation.
Shri Saraswati Namostute Shri Saraswati Namostute Varade Bhate Varade Shri Saraswati Namostute Varade Bhate Varade Shri Saraswati Namostute Varade Bhate Varade Shri Pati Gauri Pati Guru Purati Devi Vade Shri Saraswati Namostute Varade Bhate Varade Shri Pati Gauri Pati Guru Purati Devi Vade Shri Saraswati Namostute Vasana Yavivarjita Varamuha Vitamute Vasana Yavivarjita Varamuha Vitamute Vasanadya Ilani Jana Varapikarana Babukite Vasanadya Ilani Jana Varapikarana Babukite Dharmasayuda Guruhi Dharmasayuda Guruhi Adhita Jana Guruhi Samsa Vidya Pane Sakala Mantra Sharabuge Shri Saraswati Namostute Varade Bhate Varade Shri Pati Gauri Pati Guru Purati Devi Vade Shri Saraswati Namostute.
Thank you, Kavita. I now request our PGM chairperson, Dr. Nayar, to give an overview about the symposium.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to provide a brief overview to the Global Symposium today, titled Global Business Promises and Perils. The program comprises of 3 sessions, the first of which will begin shortly. The first session, we have 2 speakers. The first speaker is Dr. Julian Gaspar, who will start with the opening remarks on the theme. This will be followed by the keynote address by Mr. Arun Nayar, Director of Human Resources from Safran Engineering Services India. At the end of the first session, we'll have a tea break, and we will reassemble for the student interaction session at 11:30. The student interaction session seems to be packed with a lot of activities which our students have labored very hard for. We have a business quiz, we have a video which encompasses the culture and heritage of India. This will be particularly for students from Texas, and it also has some fun games thrown in. So I'm sure it's going to be a very exciting session for all of you who have come here this morning from Texas. The afternoon session will have a workshop on functional innovation methodology, which will be conducted by two gentlemen, Mr. Deepu Chandran, who is the Director of Innovatra Consulting Bangalore, and Mr. Lokesh, who is the Managing Director of Innovatra Consulting from Mysore. So all in all, it seems to be an action-packed day, which will be fun, which will be interesting, and I'm sure there will be a lot of learning for all of us. With this, let us formally inaugurate the symposium, for which I request our Director, N.R. Parshuraman, to kindly lead the dignitaries on the dais to guide the lab. I request Dr. Gayatri to also join us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And now request our Director, Dr. N.R. Parshuraman, to deliver the welcome address.
Very good morning to all of you. On behalf of all of us here at SDMIMD, it gives me enormous pleasure to welcome our group of students and faculty from Mays Business School, Texas A&M, and also all our other invitees. This is the third year running that we are having this international symposium. Quite exciting with the visit of the students and faculty from Mays Business School, Texas A&M. Dr. Julia Diaz, who is sitting there, is actually the pioneer behind this association between SDMIMD and Mays Business School. And we have had this running very successfully over the last few years with our students going and spending a term there, and a group of students coming from there spending close to a week here. The theme for today's discussion, symposium, is globalization, promises and perils. Well, in India, we have had a less than a completely smooth journey on globalization. We became globalized from 1991 in many senses of the word, when a lot of licenses and other requirements for starting business in India were done away with, and many multinational corporations started operations in India. And in India also, many companies started operations abroad. There have been a lot of wonderful things that have happened because of globalization. At the same time, globalization also brought with it a number of issues, including risk management, specifically country risk regarding managing the regulations or differences in the regulations in different countries, as well as managing personnel in various countries and training them to the strategic level that is required by companies. All this has also given rise to a need for management schools to equip students on various aspects of globalization. And like other leading schools, SBI has also not been lagging behind. We have got full courses on international business, globalization, global strategy, international finance. And what is more, we expose our students to international atmosphere in the following ways. We have career arrangements with not only Base Business School, SSA, but also with Shanghai Business School, as well as with the British University in Dubai. So students spend a term there. More than that, first year students, and this year about 20 students will be sent to the British University of Dubai for a fortnight, where they will be exposed to interaction with foreign students as well as corporate visits and a foreign environment. So this, we feel, is absolutely required in today's environment because we find that multinational business is no longer uncomplicated. It is so far removed from the domestic environment that we need to equip students with all details. So that actually is the basis of our curriculum planning. We're very happy that Base Business School has once again sent you all here. I hope that you're going to have as Dr. Neetu pointed out, we've planned this today rather meticulously. Hope that you have a very nice time interacting with our students as well as participating in all the events. And we're going to have, before that, a keynote address by a person who is absolutely familiar with global business, having worked in an international scenario for quite a long time, very senior positions, Mr. Arun Nayar. So we can get an overview of the practical situation in global business from him, and after that start the day. So let me wish all of you the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We are very privileged to have an eminent person, Dr. Julian Gasper, with us today. Dr. Gasper is a clinical professor of finance and teaches international finance and special topics in international business. In addition to being the director of Texas A&M's Center for International Business Studies program, he is also responsible for internationalizing the business school's curriculum and faculty. After having studied in Grace University of Madras, he completed his MBA in Indiana University, USA, and his PhD in Georgetown University, USA. Dr. Gasper is now an international economist with 25 years of operational experience with multinational and multilateral financial institutions and restructuring business education. Dr. Gasper designs policy reform programs for financial and industrial sectors of developing economies and provides policy advice for educational reforms, economic restructuring, and private sector development of Asian, Central East European economies, the former Soviet Union economies, and Latin American economies. He is also the lead author of 2 textbooks. Dr. Gasper is an outstanding administrator and teacher who is highly effective at relating current economic and business developments to economic theory. It's our pleasure to have you here, sir. Request you to please come over here and make a few opening remarks.
Thank you very much, Spurti, and thank you, Dr. Ganapati and Dr. Parshram, for putting together this wonderful symposium. So it's very firm, and I think it will be of great interest not only to our students, but to your students as well. Good morning, everybody, and as we say at Texas A&M University, howdy. Howdy. Okay. So I'm delighted to be here again at SBM. I was here just a year ago, and this year again I'm here with another 24 of our most talented business students from Basic Business School at Texas A&M University. We are here on a 2-week program, India study program, to understand Indian business environment and what promises and perils, as you would put it in this particular context, that one would face in conducting business in India. And that's what we are trying to understand here. As most of you know about globalization, globalization is here to stay. And we cannot just get away without it. Right? And before we proceed a bit, we should first try to understand what globalization is all about. Right? Globalization results when we have various regulations and various incentives removed so that it enables greater trade and investment between nations. Okay? And that's what, in economic terms, we call it economic reforms. So that is what instigated globalization, which leads to greater economic growth through better foreign investment as well as international trade. But globalization has, as indicated, both perils as well as promises. Okay? And there are winners as well as losers in globalization. The winners of globalization are these countries that implement economic reforms, more market-oriented economic reforms. And so that's what we see happening to an extent, not only in India, but in China, Brazil, and Russia, the great countries. And the losers of globalization are countries that do not take up this opportunity to reform their economies. And they are the ones that are being left behind. So at the macro level, this is what you would see. That is, when you have economic reforms, better economic performance through greater trade and investment. At the micro level, that is at the firm level, you hear from my colleague out here, talking about how companies try to adapt to globalization. So companies that try to adapt to globalization will be the ones that offer good promise for the future in terms of growth and prosperity. And companies that do not adapt to globalization are the ones that are going to lose, and you'll see they are in peril. Finally, as it comes to the Indian economy, I think we should look at what India has done in the recent past in terms of economic reforms, as Dr. Parsuram mentioned, starting in 1991. And under the first term of your Prime Minister, Manmohan Singh, a lot of progress has taken place. But unfortunately, the second term of Dr. Manmohan Singh hasn't been that good. As we discussed over dinner last night, it seems to be he was in this sleep mode, okay? And so things haven't progressed. So as long as India continues with the structural reforms that includes proper governance and issues related to corruption, unless these reforms progress, then there will be challenges that India will face. So that is the key. Regardless of who wins the next elections in May, we don't know when in May, but if reforms get stalled, then you will see the perils. Right? You will see reforms being implemented. You will see a lot of promise that India has to offer. At this point, I mean, I need to make it short because I'm running over time. I'd like to close with my statement and like to listen to what Arun has to say about his company and how we are adapting to the challenges of globalization. So with that, I'll thank you all for your patience, and also thank you all for inviting us each year for the symposium. It has been wonderful for not only for me but for my students, and I hope we continue with this for the next several years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'm sure all of us are aware of the importance of global market now. We have another renowned person with us, Mr. Arun Nayar. We are very privileged to have you here, sir. Mr. Arun Nayar is the director of Safran Engineering Services, responsible for human resource development. In this role, he leads the company's human resources, learning and development, administration, and corporate communication activities. Mr. Nayar has over 20 years of rich and varied experience in human resource, personal management, training, leadership development, and business operations. Prior to joining Safran, Mr. Nayar worked with SBI for about 2 years as Global Head of Human Resource Development. And prior to that, with Infosys Limited for close to a decade, where he was instrumental in establishing the human resource processes and operations for the Infosys Leadership Institute, Global Education Center, and Mysore Development Center. During his tenure, Mr. Nayar won the prestigious Infosys Excellence Award for Business Unit Management, People Development, Best Development Center, and Creation of Systems and Processes, among other accolades. He started his career with the Indian Army as an officer and served for 7 years. He has seen action as part of Operation Vijay in 1999. Major Arun Nayar commanded an air defense artillery company of the Indian Army and was involved in a special operation during the Kargil conflict. Subsequently, he worked as an entrepreneur for a few years before joining Infosys. He enjoys interacting with youngsters and motivating them. It's our pleasure to have you here, sir. I request Mr. Arun Nayar to deliver the keynote address. I request all other dignitaries on the dais to take their seats in the front row and receive the audience.
Thank you, Michael. Good morning. Welcome. Bonjour. And howdy. All right, that probably sets the context for my presentation today. When Dr. called me, she said the topic for the symposium is Global Business Promises and Perils. I was wondering, on what should I speak, coming from an HR background and something that pertains or deals with human resources and people management. So I decided that I will touch upon, in the time available to me, on the cultural aspects of working in a global scenario. Okay. Now, it's always a pleasure to come to SCI Miami. I've been here before. Beautiful place, beautiful people, wonderful campus. And I've been told that I have probably addressed in the previous year, probably you guys were close at that time. So it's always normal to remember certain rules for any of my sessions. Anybody who was in the previous session of mine? We're here? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, quite a few. So, remember the rules? Okay. I'll just repeat them. One, I'd love to make it as interactive as possible. Alright? So, there's no one-way communication. So rule number one is, please feel free to stop me at any point of time should you have a question or clarification. All right? Rule number two, when you speak, before you speak, please introduce yourselves, or my mom's going to be angry with me. She told me not to speak to strangers. And three, when you speak, please be loud. All right? Because unless you have a mic in the audience, please be loud because I'm a little hard of hearing. After all those bombs and Kargil during Operation Vijay, my hearing is going to be all right. So please get it loud. Okay. Now, what do you understand by culture? What do you think is culture? Yeah, actually, you guys got to go on the topic. All right. Yeah. What do you understand by culture? Come on, let's see who takes the lead. Is it going to be a guy or a girl? Great.
All right. My name is Ming.
Excuse me?
Ming.
Wait, I mean,
Look, my definition of culture would be a set of beliefs, traditions, and cultural norms that kind of help identify you from other people.
fantastic. Very good. What else?
That's all I got.
Morning, sir. My name is Lalit. I see culture.
Sorry?
My name is Lalit.
Nothing. Right, yeah.
We have written rules which forms a part of law. We have unwritten rules which we have to follow to live a better life or to work. So those unwritten rules, according to me, unwritten, unsaid rules, which are propagated from the previous generation to the next generation, are the part of culture.
Fantastic. Wonderful. All right. Now, culture is defined as the shared patterns of behaviors, interactions, cognitive constructs, and effective understanding that are learned through a process of socialization. These shared patterns identify the members of the group while also distinguishing those from the group. Culture is a mechanism that allows select an attitude and interpretation. The solution is the one that makes sense when facing a situation, decisions, relationships, emotions, etc. Blah, 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 blah. Forget about it. All right. What you said is right. I just put this here because, in Indian culture, we always like to have a solid definition. You all see 3 idiots, right? 3 idiots, right? So that's why I put up, because you know this, but what you said, what the group you said, absolutely right. Now, in effect, culture comprises of certain, or is made up of certain explicit and implicit factors. Okay? The explicit factors being languages, verbal and non-verbal, explicit behaviors, habits and traditions, food, housing, clothing, health, etc. Know-how, communication, goals, tools, etc. Institutions, family, education, marriage. And some implicit factors like norms, do's and don'ts, things that we've been told, right, from childhood. Okay? Values, mental state, and cognitive processes. That's not what probably is culture. Now, why is it important for us, especially Indians, all right, to be culturally adapted? Anyway, why is it important for us, especially the Indians here, to be culturally adapted? Yeah. Abhijit. Oh, Abhijit, good morning.
Morning, sir. We as Indians, we have about 28 states, and still we are figuring out to be new states. And each and every state has different culture. So we as Indians, we develop a global perspective.
Context, focus, topic.
Yes. So the states are like they have a lot of different cultures. So I think we as Indians should be
Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. Why is girl speaking? Actually, normally I have another rule, you know. It should be always one guy and one girl. Because the girl said he quiet.
Good morning, sir. My name is Sanjeev.
Hello, Sanjeev. Yeah.
I want to take it in an automobile point of view.
Sorry?
Automobile sector point of view.
Okay.
You see that India is becoming a manufacturing hub of automobiles.
Okay.
And if you see that if you want to compete in this sector, you have to practice Tata production system, you have to maintain the Japanese quality and all that stuff. And if you see the GPM process and all that, it's all about employee involvement to changing the culture of your practice. So in that point of view, we have to adapt to the different cultures So that we have to showcase to the foreign companies or foreign customers that
Okay.
we are in China.
All right, good. Anything else? Let's have a lady. All right. Anyone? Okay. Both of you right. Let me share with you some statistics. All right. We have today 1.2 billion people. By 2050, we would have overtaken China. Okay, with the 1.6 billion. The United Nations predicts the global population will reach 9.2 billion by 2050. We got more than 50% is below the age of 25. Half a billion people below the age of 25. Okay? More than 65% below the age of 35. Median age in the country is 25 years. How does this compare with the rest of the world? Folks, India is the youngest country in the world. Now, is that a good thing? Huh? Oh, yes, it is a good thing. Why? Yeah, so we will be the largest contributors in the working age group in the world. We have the maximum number of people who are physically and mentally able to put in the hard work, the effort for progress. Okay? The World Labor Force projects a global labor force of 3.3 billion, of which 200 million are unemployed, and a further 900 million are living with their families below $2 a day. The International Labour Organization projects 400 million new entrants into the labour market over the next 10 years. 400 million new entrants, right? Next 10 years, right time when you guys will be out there. Apart from the challenge of lifting 900 million working floor poverty, 400 million new jobs will be needed simply to avoid a further increase in global unemployment. And India's contribution to that between 2010 and 2030 would be 230 million people. India is set to become the largest contributor to the global workforce. Its working age population, 15 to 59 years, is likely to swell from 749 million to close to a billion people by 2030. India will add 110 million people to the global workforce by 2020. In contrast, China's labor force will increase thus by 15 million in the same period. And Japan's will decline by 3 million over the next 10 years. The growth of workforce in Brazil and the US will be lower than that of China. So what does this mean? What does this mean for the Indian workforce? One, yeah. Lalit, right? Yeah, Lalit.
Means Indians will be just going to different countries to work. They will be taking different positions in different organizations in different countries. So that answers your previous question also. Why we should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. So, one, there may not be enough jobs created within India. Okay? 200 million jobs by 2030 seems a tough job. Okay? This means, and then also, not so much working age population growth in other countries. So they require people. And who will supply them with the people? Place where there is a surplus. Alright? So Indians will be traveling more and more. We'll be going out, working in the US, working in Europe, working in Japan and other countries of the Asia Pacific. Okay? And hence it becomes imperative. Okay, because there will be competition. There will be huge competition amongst yourselves for jobs. And hence, it is important and imperative to study cultures to give you that competitive edge and to be really culturally adapted. All right. With that context, this is a small story. Okay. The story is in a village called Krita in Tamil Nadu, in India, somewhere, a tiny hamlet called Krita in Tamil Nadu, India. This place had a man called Muni, who used to be a well-to-do person in the village. Okay. But he had fallen upon a bad day. In fact, he was going through such a rough path that it was at times difficult for him to have 2 square meals a day. One day, he asks his wife he tells his wife that he wishes to have drumsticks for breakfast. This is a story by R.K. Ryan, by the way. If you've heard about this or seen it on TV or something, nice. Follow. So his wife says, okay, I'll make you drumsticks in case you can go and get the ingredients because nothing at home. You go and get buy the ingredients in the grocery shop. So when he goes out, goes to the grocer, asks for the ingredients. The grocer says, sorry, I cannot give you any more credit. You first settle your previous debts, and only then I'll give you something more. So dejected Muni goes from there, goes and sits on a stone nearby. And near that stone is a statue of a horse. And he takes his 2 goats, that's all the wealth he's having, his 2 goats. He thinks he'll have them graze along the way. So he takes them along. And he goes and, after from the grocery, he goes and sits on a stone nearby, thinking about his fate and accepting whatever destiny had bestowed upon him. While he was sitting there, and his goats were grazing nearby, as I said, it's a statue of a horse. The village is a very old statue, which is lying there and completely neglected by everybody. As he was sitting there, an American gentleman drives up in a station wagon. This person is running out of gas and he's looking for a gas station. As he's driving, he sees the horse, he sees the statue of the horse. And he takes a liking for it and he wants to buy it. While thinking does, he thinks about cancelling his travel flight plans, booking his tickets by ship, and traveling back with the horse to the United States. And he also calls his wife and tells her, look, I found a beautiful horse, I'm bringing it back home. So the wife says, don't worry, I'll book your tickets, I'll change your travel plans, and I'll make room make space in the living room for us to keep the horse. While thinking like this, he gets out of the station wagon, comes to Muni, who's sitting near the horse, and he thinks or he perceives that Muni is the owner of the house because he finds Muni sitting next to him. Now, the problem here is that Muni does not understand English, and of course, the gentleman from the United States does not speak Tamil. Nevertheless, he wants to buy the horse, so he goes to Muni, and at first he asks him for a gas station nearby. Muni does not understand, but Muni, seeing the man in khaki dress, he thinks he's one of the cops or from the police, come there to investigate a murder that had happened a few days ago. And he says, no, sorry, I don't know anything about the murder. Well, the foreigner realizes that he's not getting anywhere, so he says, let me try and buy the horse from this guy. So he tells Muni, I want to buy the horse. Muni still thinks he's speaking about the murder. Finally, the foreigner starts patting the goat, which was grazing nearby at the back, and continues to speak about buying the horse. And he takes out a 100 rupee note from his pocket and hands it over to Muni. Muni thinks that he wants to buy his goat. At first he says, no, the goat is frail and weak, and why do you want to buy it? That's all I have. Then he pulls another 100 rupee note and gives it to Muni. And this time Muni says, okay, fine, you may have my goats. He's speaking in Tamil, mind. He says, okay, fine, you may have my goats, and I'll take mine. The American thinks that he bought the statue of the horse, but Muni feels that he sold the goats. And they both think that there's been a deal, and they go their separate ways. The American takes the horse from there, puts it in his wagon, and drives off. When he goes back home and tells his wife, look, I got 200 rupees and I sold the goats. After some time, the goats follow him back home, and Muni's wife is livid. She starts fighting with him, and the story ends with the wife threatening to go back to my parents' house. Now, good question. How do you think the Americans' culture dictated his behavior? And of course, how do you think the Indian culture dictated his behavior? Yeah. You had a party last night or something? Huh? Maybe still drowsy, probably partying late in the night? Yeah, now let's have a lady now. I want the ladies to kind of speak. How do you think the Americans' culture dictated his behavior? Our friends from Texas. Or anyone. How do you think Muni's culture dictated his behavior? Okay, yeah. All right. She's already got the line.
Good morning, sir. My name is Shilpa Menon.
Hello, Shilpa. Good morning.
Sir, what I read from and what I heard from you, I feel like the narrative was actually talking about the present. Like how is going to release a furniture and downwards. Whereas the movie who is anything was looking over this goes as a part of his childhood and about how it tied back to his past and that is the difference that we see the cultures that I should explain.
Very good. Wonderful. Excellent. Yeah.
My name is Emily.
No, wait, hi.
My name is Johnson.
Excuse me?
I just think that sometimes Americans assume that everyone speaks English. Because I think that was part of the problem, is that he assumed he understood it.
Fantastic.
That was his problem, is that they assumed that the transaction had taken place in both to the
Absolutely right. Excellent. That's exactly what happens very often, right? The American speaks only English and assumed that everybody speaks English. He was annoyed to find that the guy speaks only Tamil. So if he was coming to India, and especially if he wanted to start some business or purchase something, he should have learned at least the basics of the language of the region he's going to, or he should have at least had a guide. Okay? Second, he's visiting a small village, and he expects to find a gas station. A number of villages in India where there are no gas stations. Highly unlikely in the US, right? His goal is to buy or own the horse at any cost. He likes it, he wants it, and he would go ahead and get it at any cost. Americans are driven by result. They want results. Muni, on the other hand, lacks the materialistic ideology of the American, so he cannot understand that the American is interested in the statue and not in those brave words. Alright? Second, as Shilpa said, he accepts his fate. He's a perfect example of accepting his fate as a result of his karma or actions. Right? Having said that, can somebody give me a few stereotypes of typical Indian culture? What do we, or what do foreigners associate with typical Indian culture? There are no right or wrong answers, alright? No, not you. Let's have somebody who's not spoken, right?
Good morning, my name is Jyotika.
Jyotika. Good morning, Jyotika. Yeah.
I think probably arranged marriages.
Arranged marriages, okay, good. I didn't have that one, nice one. Yeah, okay. So you think, are you guys thinking that arranged marriages are okay? Or you don't even know what arranged marriages are? Okay, what else? What else? Yeah.
name is Ashish.
Hello, Ashish.
And I can give you an example of general communication.
Sure.
In terms of Indian people. Suppose I got a call, I received a call, and somebody asked me, hey, where's your uncle? I will simply answer that my uncle is in the kitchen or in his room. And I would be asking whether I need to call him or not. But if you know who are married and the same case, for the same person, you will try to is in the room or is in the kitchen. But you won't be asking whether you should be in or not.
Very good. So, we believe in high context communication, or we like high context communication. Okay, what else? Come on, this should be simple. So many stereotypes associated with Indians, stereotypes associated with Indian culture.
Addressing somebody who's a senior by the like sir and not.
Fantastic, yes. Respect. Okay. Somebody senior cannot be opposed. Respect has to be given, and that's yeah. Hello, perfect.
So superstitions are part of it.
Fantastic, very good. Superstitions. Okay, let's see. You guys familiar with this? Nobody said anything. All right. The Indian Standard Time is more commonly known as Indian Special Time. Okay. Superstition. Yes. Somebody said, yes, sir, culture. High context communication. We don't like to be direct. All right. We feel that being direct might hurt the other person. All right. So we like to be over polite at times. Take pride in fancy designation. At 6 years of work X, everybody wants to be a vice president. This is something I picked up. Someone told me this about personal hygiene. When I was in the US. It's not entirely true, but I thought about why people say this about Indians. Okay, because we come from a tropical climate and we have a bath every day, we maintain good personal hygiene, but still, And the reasons I found out were pretty amusing. Indians use different types of oil for their hair, which at times, are not to the liking of their foreign colleagues. Okay. Also, not many Indians, of late we are beginning to, like to use deodorants or perfumes. All right. One of the positives is that Indians are known to be geeks. Right? Okay. You have a technical problem with technology. That's what it's meant. Even in Hollywood movies these days, they have to have a character of a technically geek. They show anything. Family oriented. The Indians are just an arranged marriage and family oriented. Okay, but let's have a look at certain other stereotypes in certain other countries. Oh yeah, one more thing. Staring. Yeah. This is something again I came across. A friend of mine told me. Why do you people stare so much? Many of us have this bad habit of emphasis. That's actually, it's non-verbal appreciation. Right? So then, when you are working in a foreign culture, you are fed up and such a it'll be better appreciated if you go and tell the person, hey, you're looking good. Alright? Alright. Certain other stereotypes from certain other countries. The French are supposed to be logical, Cartesian, elitist, authoritarian, and proud.
Chinese, quiet, hardworking, enigmatic, smiling, and sometimes cruel. Germans, rigid, methodical, obsessed with order and privacy, unemotional, and territorial. Americans, superficial, frontier spirit. They always want to be in the forefront, right? They always want to lead. Materialistic, over-optimistic. Italians, loud, macho. Impatient, over-emotional, talkative, unorganized. And the British, imperialistic, island mentality, principled, class-conscious, conservative. Any questions here? Yeah. Sorry?
Why is cruel?
I can write this, right? Okay. These are the general perceptions that people have, all right? Or what people think they are. I mean, all Chinese, of course, not good. They're all smiling, right? Not working, right? So, these are general perceptions that people feel. This is not my opinion, right? Yeah.
Good morning, sir. My name is Ayush.
Oh, Ayush.
So could you please explain as to what is the stereotype we associate with island mentality of the British?
Okay, island mentality is they like to be within their group. Alright? They like to, they normally do not like to involve anybody from outside to enter their group. They like to be separate. Alright? Okay. Good. Sorry, what's your name, you said? Ayush. Very good, Ayush, for asking that question, because another stereotype to Indians is we don't like to ask questions. Lest we display our ignorance. Okay, but it's good. Okay, can you tell me what do you understand by partition? What is the meaning of partition? No? Then why did you ask? I told you, stop me at any point if you have a clarification. Partition is pertaining to Descartes. Descartes was a French philosopher and mathematician. So the French are perceived to follow the Cartesian way of thinking, logical, mathematical, etc. All right? Okay. Now we shall look at a few scenarios, all right? Closer home in India, and how cultural. Okay. First, we will look at a classroom scenario, not in India, outside. And we'll see how cultural aspects actually influence behavior. All right. Li comes from China and is beginning his first semester in a degree at St. Paul University of Ottawa, Canada. Serge is from Russia. Both spend a lot of time and money studying English back home so they could pass the entry requirements for English skills. But neither has much experience listening to or speaking English. Neither has studied how education occurs in Canada. During the first 3 weeks of class discussions, Lee has not contributed anything. He is uncomfortable. Whenever the teacher stops lecturing and opens conversations, Serge has been giving answers in class. He speaks quite forcefully, sometimes giving 5 to 7 sentences. The teacher responds just briefly. This past class, the teacher actually said, let's hear from someone else now. Okay, because Serge is all the while standing up and trying to speak. In week 3, the teacher assigns a group report and asks the class to get into groups of 3 and 4. Within minutes, Students have sorted themselves out, but Lee and Serge are left without a group. Now, the question for you. Why were Lee and Serge not part of any group? Why did their classmates want them to be part of any group? What do you think has caused Lee's quietness? What do you think has prompted Serge's over-involvement in the class? And did any of the parties reach the desired outcome for themselves or for the class? So, why were they not part of any group? Yeah.
My name is Amulya.
Amulya, good morning, Amulya. Yeah.
It would be because he is not comfortable speaking English because he thinks that he's not as good as his counterparts. And so wants to prove that he's as good as it. So what happens is, when both of them are not able to achieve their objective in English, they're as an uncomfortable group. And the other people don't want them because they think if they take him lead, he might not be able to communicate properly. And if they take in search, he might try to dominate.
Very good. How has the culture played a part of this?
Maybe they are stereotyped about them because initially, without even talking to them, they have formed an opinion
Yes.
about the other two.
The class has formed an opinion. Yes.
So, and I would say they are more comfortable making groups with their own people.
Yes. Good. Very good. Who else? There's somebody behind.
So as I see the situation over here, the Chinese, as you said, are by nature they are normally very quiet. They're not very proactive in answering. Whereas it appears that the Russians, they are much more proactive in answering and probably would want to prove themselves that they are doing quite well.
Yes.
So what happened? Maybe the class, the culture which was prevalent in Canada, didn't really take these two people into their fold. And that's why probably I see that may be a reason as to why they were left without the.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Lee is bewildered by the casual nature of the back and forth with the teacher and is not experienced at throwing ideas out. Because in his educational background, you only presented an idea to the teacher if it was worthy of consideration. He has noticed some of the students even offer wrong information and the teacher still looks happy. In Lee's culture, the newbie should watch and learn before participating. Okay? He is especially shocked that some students contradict the teacher, tell the teacher that they can't answer as they weren't listening and seem unprepared for class. Okay? Pretty similar to Indian culture. Serge, on the other hand, guesses it's the same rules as in Russia, where you need to impress the teacher with the knowledge and study habits. He expects the professor to build on and challenge his responses. But no matter how hard he tries, the teacher does not take him on. Serge is surprised at how little his classmates say, as in Russia, one conversation term is usually 5 to 7 sentences. He does not know that in Canada, one conversation term is usually no more than 3 sentences. In Russia, the balance or tone of conversations does not have to be cheerful, does not have to stay cheerful. So he's really confused by the teacher's attempts to keep everyone happy. Serge is looking for a good debate, but just when any conversation gets interesting, the teacher re-channels it. One class, someone gave a wrong answer, which would have drawn a sort of contempt and harsh words about studying Russian. But the teacher went to the board and re-explained the concept. Serge felt that this was a waste of other people's time. As we can see, the pre-verbal expectations of a post-secondary classroom have caused confusion. In addition, Lee's quiet body language, voice, and gesturing, as he interacts briefly with classmates, is seen as not energizing by his classmates who were raised in Canada. By contrast, surges, full body movement, broad and rapid gestures, louder voice volume, Slavic languages like Russian are amongst the loudest for classroom conversation. And this kind of volume of surge makes some of his classmates feel that he's pushy. Both of them are having assumptions about their personalities on the basis of culturally different non-verbal cues. Serge and Lee are both continually surprised by the teacher's post-verbal responses to what students say and do. No one was totally successful here. It's likely that the teacher was happy to have a diverse classroom and that all the students would have benefited from the new knowledge bases Serge and Lee brought. Unfortunately, the first three weeks did not create opportunities for them to share in ways that made this obvious to the rest of the class. So, by the time the group was self-selected, they were not seen as easy colleagues. They ended up working in a group with another newcomer from India. Okay? They passed the course, but were disappointed. They felt like they were unwanted leftovers. Okay. Next scenario, closer home. Mayank has been working as an information officer at a foreign consulate in New Delhi for several years. His American boss, Henrik, wants to reward Mayank for his hard work and offers him a promotion and a pay raise to become an information clerk. Mayank politely declines the offer, leaving Henrik confused. Now, what do you think? Let me ask American friends, what do you think Mayank confused? He's getting a pay raise now. But he refuses it. Why?
Hello, my name is Allison.
Excuse me?
Allison.
Hi, Alice.
We may have declined the offer because we have to be working.
No, you did not have to relocate now.
That was not bad.
Yeah, you did not have to relocate. Good try.
My name is John.
Charles.
John.
John, sorry. I know that was a loud word.
So the title seems as if it's lower, even though it's a promotion. So maybe the title something.
Fantastic. Absolutely. Indians lay a lot of premium on the title. Okay? Information officer sounds better than information clerk, though the information clerk is a higher position and gets more paper. So yes, it is likely that Mayank refused the promotion because the title of information officer sounded more prestigious than information clerk. Okay? This may seem strange to Henrik because he assumes that everyone, being American, he might assume that everyone values a higher salary over status and position. Mayank, on the other hand, would like to have a pay raise. Definitely, who doesn't, right? But is concerned about how the change in title would affect his family's position in their community. Okay? If he is unable to change the job title, if Henrik is unable to change the job title to from information clerk to something more prestigious, Henrik should look for other ways to acknowledge Mayank for his hard work. Perhaps he could increase his salary in his current position, or have the embassy give him an award which he could display at home. Okay? And by the way, if he has to relocate to the US, he would have no problem. His community would not be there. If he were in the Western Church, I think he would have. Yes. All right. Another scenario. Based in Cleveland, Ohio, Jim has been managing a software development team in Pune, India, for the past 2 years. He has been working closely with Arun, the Indian team lead, to develop a new networking program. Now, Jim is Arun's boss. Okay? While Jim has over 25 years of experience in software development, Arun knows the program inside out. While reviewing his work from the previous week, Jim discovers that he made a mistake in the programming code. He notices that Arun corrected his error, but wonders why Arun did not bring it to Jim's notice, so that he would avoid delays and keep from making the same mistake in future. So why do you think, or how many of you think Arun should have informed Jim among these guys? How many of you feel Arun should have informed Jim? I don't know about his mistake. Okay? And why do you think she didn't do it? Yeah. Well, let's have somebody else who already spoken, right? Yeah.
Namaste, my name is Vishal.
Namaste.
Yeah.
Vishal.
What she feels is that the organisms is what she very well. She feels that it will often increase.
Yeah.
So that's the reason.
Perfect. Yeah. And what should Jim do? If he wants to be notified of the mistakes in the future, how should he proceed? What should Jim do? There you go. The reason, did you hear the reason? The reason is Indians normally do not like to point out mistakes that their bosses are. Okay? They feel it's impolite. Alright. Yeah, in this situation, Jim and Arun are unaware of their expectations. Are unaware that their expectations are being heavily influenced by their culture. Both of them assume that the other's method of communicating is similar to their own. In most Asian countries, critiquing or criticizing your supervisor is unacceptable. Aruna is following her culture's norms by avoiding direct communication about Jim's mistake. Jim, on the other hand, expects more direct communication regarding the technical aspects of the project. Moving forward, Jim should assure Aruna that communicating directly about programming errors is encouraged. He should understand that it will take time for her to adapt to his communication style and should recognize her when she points out mistakes. Okay? Now, I have listed from my experience, okay, a few common cultural differences between the India and the USA. Because I believe going forward, India and the United States are going to play a very major role in global business. There will be a lot of investment in India, a lot of people coming here working in the US and the US coming working in India. So, I just wanted to highlight a few differences, a few common differences between cultures in the workplace. Since I work with mostly American team clients, still recently, I'm currently working for a French company. I just talked to India and the US. Attitude towards appointments and deadlines, as I said earlier. In India, people do not adhere to timings. No doubt they work for long hours, approximately 10 to 12 hours a day, and sometimes even on weekends, but take long tea breaks and lunch breaks. Again, they're not very competitive on deadline. They keep negotiating for extension of timeline. Sometimes scheduled meetings are cancelled due to absence of some key person. And believe me, we have this pretty often, right? In the US, people strictly adhere to time. They work in the office for 8 hours a day, get in meetings sharply at scheduled times, and they take lunch breaks at scheduled times, and just for that much time. Okay. Work-life balance. Most Indians think of workplace as an opportunity to build their future and put forth extensive efforts to climb the corporate ladder and come not be bad. Work day and night beyond limits results in losing work-life balance. Obsessive in pressing our superiors. It also makes them encounter a lot of pressure as demands at workplace and family are almost opposite. There may be a greater sense of ownership for work in Indians, and they value work more than personal life. Many occasions, right? It may not be true for all, but mostly. In the US, they give more value to the time spent with their personal life. They do not carry workplace pressure or stress home. Eventually, work is a part of their life, but not life itself. Nevertheless, they stay back at office occasionally when they need to work. Mindset about management hierarchy, extremely important, and probably got to do with our culture because of things like the Hindu-divided family, and most big companies in India are family businesses like Reliance, startups, etc. Right? And unlike the US, where even a company like say GE or Microsoft, it's not family-run business. Okay, solely on that, whoever proves or whoever delivers results gets promoted. The relationship between boss and subordinates is believed to be more formal and hierarchical than anything. People in power openly display their ranks according to which importance is given. Employees are not supposed to expect clear guidance from managers, and they are often not assigned to important work. Subordinates are expected to take the blame for things that go wrong. Relationship between boss and subordinate is rarely close and personal. General company meetings, only a few people dominate, even though the decisions may be wrong. It may vary from company to company. Okay. And it says letting out to say that about the emphasis of 10 years. Okay. Believe me, it's been a revelation. Also work with other Indian companies, and where most of this is to accept an emphasis, which has been a trendsetter actually in the Indian business area. In the US, the relationship between boss and subordinate is not more formal and hierarchical. Superiors treat subordinates with respect and not demonstrate ranks. Subordinates are entrusted with important assignments. Blame for things that go wrong is either shared with often accepted by the superior, due to it being their responsibility to manage. Managers often socialize with subordinates. These are interactive sessions to arrive at best. Indian business culture tends to view agreements more flexibly as intentions and guidelines for future actions. Americans have a preference for clear, detailed agreements and are uneasy with vague expressions of general commitment. In business interactions, commitments are taken literally and seriously. Failure to follow through on them precisely is viewed as a sign that a person is not trustworthy. In mentoring, Indian managers are a bit softer critics. Because as I said earlier, we tend not to be direct, especially when it comes to negative feedback. Seniors tend to lean more on positive feedback during appraisal, leaving the criticism unsaid. In India, either due to the appraisal process or due to lack of skill of the appraiser, the much needed critical assessment is often held back. Performance is the main criteria in the USA. Likewise, visitor promotional assignments may be assigned. By and large, very objective. Accepting change. In the Indian work culture, people do not accept change easily. A lot of resistance is encountered in order to implement change. Whereas in the West, people are active and conducive to change implementation. A very good example of this was a few years back when I was in Infosys. They implemented a huge change management program called IRIS, infamous as IRIS. Now, I don't know how many of you have heard of it. Okay. Now, it essentially was a program where Infosys moved from a role-based structure to a competency-based structure. Okay. Now, it did not involve any salary changes. However, it involved designation changes, where designations were, redefined to match the competency of the person rather than the role he played. Okay, and this proved to be a big problem in India. Okay, the whole program got a lot of criticism. Okay, in fact, HR was blamed for pushing such a program through. Okay, because many people's designations were changed and many of them did not like what they got because the designations were now conforming to the competencies they had. Okay. However, in the US, it was comparatively much easier to push it through. As long as it did not affect their salaries, they were okay with anything else. It was very much easier to push it through in environments like our countries. Okay. Results versus process orientation. In Indian business culture, following rules and implementing correct processes is highly valued. Whereas in the US, it's all about results. Americans don't like to be told all the procedural reasons why something can't be or hasn't been done. Directness. Indians and people from other cultures that tend to avoid conflict and loss of face often find it hard to say no or raise problematic issues effectively with their counterparts. The American style of communication is characteristically direct and candid and relatively unconcerned with face saving or the avoidance of conflict. The expectation is that questions will get answered with a clear yes or no, and that disagreements will be dealt with openly and straightforwardly in a spirit like this manner. Okay? These are a few of the things that I had noticed during my work experience. Now, having said this, I always believe that my critics are my biggest strengths. Okay? Because they tell me where I go wrong. So, I would expect all of you to take all this in that spirit. Alright? Now, having said this, I would like to share with you certain tips or points that will help you across cultures. Anywhere, wherever you go. Okay? How many of you have read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie? Good, good. So I've taken his help for some of these. Okay? And this works, believe me, it works across cultures. Anywhere in the world. Okay? And it's very, very simple. Very simple things to do. Okay? Become genuinely interested in other people. Okay? It is seen, believe me, if you are just making it up, it can be seen. Face is the index of mind. Okay? Smile. Always. It's not so bad that it can't be worse, right? I had a person, a youngster in my team, okay, when I was a kid. And this guy, was typical indisciplined young guy. Okay? He was his first job, and I was a very tough taskmaster. Okay? And fortunately, unfortunately for him, he came to my team. And he used to walk in late for meetings. Okay? That used to infuriate me. However, this guy always had a very pleasant smile on his face. Even if I am actually taking him aside and give him taking the cleaner and say, dressing down, he still keeps smiling. And over a period of time, I felt that, my God, this guy's got a wonderful attitude. Alright? So it's okay. I mean, and honestly, I started condoning his, his transgressions. Alright? Just because he used to smile. That's probably the only good thing about him, as far as my sense are concerned. Anyways. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Okay? Please make an attempt to address people by their name. And start practicing now. Wherever you go. Okay? You go to a restaurant, instead of saying excuse me or shh, ask the guy his name. See, he'll serve you with a smile. That's serve you better. Be a good listener. Encourage others to talk about themselves. Talk in terms of the other person's interest. Make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Insincerity can be seen, believe me. Fundamental techniques in handling people: don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Okay, even if you want to provide negative feedback, start with a positive note. Okay? And then you can give negative feedback as an area of improvement. Give honest and sincere appreciation, arouse the other person, and keep her warm. Win people with your way of thinking. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. It cannot be done always, but if it's leading nowhere and is not important for your job, avoid it. Okay? Show respect for the other person's opinions. Never say you're wrong. Okay? But that's his opinion. Place your opinion without saying that you're wrong. If you are wrong, admit it quickly and emphatically. No problem. We're all humans. We make mistakes. Perfectly alright. Begin in a friendly way. get the other person saying yes immediately, every other person knows a great deal of the topic, every other person feels that the idea is a verse. Okay? One important thing that all of us need to learn or realize is that, I'm sure you've heard this or read this somewhere, is that a lot of work can get done if we don't bother who gets the credit for it. Okay? So try to do that. Okay. Don't worry. There's a law of nature. It says that hard work never goes unrewarded. The only thing here is that the timing of the reward may not be in your hands. Leave it to nature. Pretty calm. Try honestly to see things from the other person's point of view. Be sympathetic to the other person's ideas and desires. Appeal to nobler motives. Dramatize your ideas. Works. Throw a challenge. Anywhere in the world. Throw a challenge, and only the most laziest nincompoops may not want to pay up. Okay? We are leaders.